Hi, my name is Amanda, and I'm coming to you from the coast of New Hampshire. This is a video about my knitting. It's been just about a month since I did the last video, and I finally got around to sitting down to do this one. And unfortunately, I have a feeling it's going to be sporadic because we have an extremely packed summer ahead of us. We did a lot of events. So the first one that's coming up is we're doing the NHRA this weekend. And then towards the end of the summer, or not the end of the summer, the end of June, we have a concert, and then we'll be going on vacation. But that's just June. But so I did finish a few projects. I did finally hide these strings on my socks. They are just a pair of basic socks. I still can't remember the name of the brand of the yarn, but I finally hid the strings and took the pictures, so those are all done. And then I finished the first pair of colorway socks, and I actually hid the strings and took the pictures this morning. I really liked how they turned out. These are, I can't remember any names. I really can't. But I will have the names and the types of yarn in the comment, or not, in the description box. So I finished those. I did not get anything done on the simple stripe shawl, and I did not finish any of the hats that are kind of just stacked over here. That's why I looked at it. I did, however, work on my holly socks. These are the ones I take to work. This is the second one. I am about 2 repeats away from being done with the leg, and then I will just need to do the cuff, and then I will have those done. So close. And that is from the Knit Crate Inspiration December 2019. It's supposed to look like that. So I basically work on those when I'm at lunch at work. I only get a half-hour lunch, so it just gives me a lot of time. That's one thing. I did some work on my cross socks, Celtic cross socks. So I'm kind of working them at the same time. So I finished the color work, and I did 1 repeat of the cable on the one sock, and then I finished the color work, and I've just started the cable pattern on the second sock. And then once that's done, I will start in on the heels and then the foot. So that's going along. I did a little bit of work on the Lady of Kensington, yeah, sock. And this one I've only gotten the first sock done, but it's one where you increase and then do the heel. So I've just been doing a little bit of that as a nice pattern. Done a little bit of thought, and the increase, I like it, they're actually charted out. It is a free pattern, so on Ravelry, so you can just go and get that there. This one I started after my last podcast, so this is the one sock that I have. I have the color work done, and now it just need to do like the leg and then everything. And then the other sock, I actually have like the pattern, and I've done the heel flap and gusset and everything, and we're now just knitting on the foot. But it's leftover yarn, so I only have the one ball, so I'm gonna finish up this one and then continue on with this one. And that one is the Pieces of History sock. And this is what the toe is going to be. It's nice highlighter yellow. But I figured it would go well with like this dark, because it's a really dark gray, and then it just has like a blip of rainbow. And this colorway is actually called A Bad Day. And I bought it on a bad day I had at work. Like, I literally was having just such a horrible day, and I bought the yarn because it just felt so good, because it's like, well, it's a bad day. And I've made a pair of socks out of this yarn, and this was the leftover, so I wanted to do, when I was picking out the color work socks, I went through a lot of my leftover yarn, trying to figure out which ones I could do out of that. So I have done some work on my boxy sweater. It's gotten I could, so many inches. I might have to start doing a little stitch marker to see how far I have gone since the last time. Although I am planning to bring it with me on vacation, because it's a nice pattern where I can knit and not necessarily have to look at it in the car. Sunday, it was so warm here. It was in the 70s outside, but our apartment was in the 80s. Like, I think it topped out at 87 degrees in our apartment. And that was with the windows open, and we had 4 fans in our living room going, just trying to stay somewhat tolerable. But I ended up working on a couple of the crank hats that I do on my Centro knitting machine. And so I did this one. I did this one, which is kind of half this one, and then just half the little green. And then I did kind of a red and white one, because I'm just trying to use up yarn. And then I have another one with the Caron Simply Soft in this kind of like periwinkle color. It's going over halfway done, so I want to keep working on those, just try and use up the yarn, and then once I've used up a majority of it, I can donate the stuff if that's what I end up doing with it. So the last thing I'm going to show, I figured I'd show because the plan is to rip it out. So I had started, it doesn't look like much, but it was supposed to be like this giant like poof, I think it's called, or it's basically like a round thing that you stuff and you can use like as a footrest. But and you knit it in back and forth, and then you start doing short rows, and then you have to do so many sections of the short rows, and then you sew it together. And it calls for like a super bulky like t-shirt yarn, but I was gonna try and just like hold 4 skeins of worsted weight yarn together. But I was thinking about it the other day, and I just don't think we would use it. And I just, like, to stuff it and everything, I think I'm better off ripping out this and using the yarn for hats as a better use of the yarn. Because obviously this is 2 wedges, and I had started to do a third, and I think I would have had to do 12 wedges. And obviously holding the yarn, 4 strings of yarn is quite a bit, and then obviously I would have to replace some of the yarn with different colors once they ran out, because like there's only this much of the blue that I was using, so that's not going to go through the whole thing. So it had been like a Mod Podge of different colors, which is not bad, but I just don't see it being worthwhile, because then you have to stuff it, and stuffing is not cheap, and then I don't know that we'll really use it. So I think I will just go ahead and rip it out and repurpose the yarn for something a little bit more practical. So I wanted to show you guys that, because it's one of the massive amount of whips that I have, because with those few socks done, I still technically have 20 projects going, which it doesn't bother me, the number, but I would like to still work on some of them. But I just wanted to do a quick update while I have the chance, and hopefully it doesn't take me forever to get it uploaded. And then the thought is maybe in a couple weeks try and do another one, fingers crossed. And so if you've watched through the whole thing, thank you, and I will see you again.